Hello, my name is Christopher White, and today I will be presenting an aviation weather case study on Korean Flight 801. This accident occurred on August 6, 1997, near Guam. The crash is considered a controlled flight into terrain accident, meaning the aircraft was fully functional but was unintentionally flown into terrain. In this presentation, I will explain the weather conditions, the sequence of events, the investigation findings, and the safety improvements that resulted from this accident. Korean Air Flight 801 was a scheduled passenger flight from Seoul, South Korea to Guam. The aircraft involved was a Boeing 747 Model 300, carrying passengers and crew. While approaching Guam late at night, the aircraft crashed into terrain approximately 3 miles from the runway. Out of everyone on board, 228 people lost their lives. The aircraft itself was not experiencing any mechanical problems at the time of the accident. The airport in Guam presents some challenges for pilots because it is surrounded by mountainous terrain. When aircraft approach the airport, especially at night or during poor weather conditions, pilots must rely heavily on instrument procedures to maintain a safe altitude. If these procedures are not followed correctly, the aircraft can descend too low and risk impacting terrain. The environment increases the risk of controlled flight into terrain accidents. Weather conditions played an important role in this accident. At the time of the approach, the area was experiencing rain showers and low cloud ceilings, which reduce visibility. Because flight occurred at night, the crew had very limited visual references outside the aircraft. The combination of rain, clouds, and darkness meant the crew had to rely heavily on their instruments to maintain proper altitude and alignment with the runway. Weather did not directly cause the accident, but it increased pilot workload and reduced situational awareness during a critical phase of flight. The crew was flying a non-precision instrument approach into Guam. Unlike an instrument landing system approach, a non-precision approach does not provide vertical glide path guidance. Instead, pilots must descend to a specific altitude known as the minimum descent altitude and maintain that altitude until they can see the runway environment. If the runway is not visible, the crew must execute a missed approach and try again. During the approach, the captain mistakenly believed that glide slope guidance was available, even though it was not functioning for this approach. Because of this misunderstanding, the aircraft continued descending below the minimum descent altitude. The crew did not have the required visual references to the runway, yet the descent continued. This placed the aircraft dangerously close to the terrain surrounding the airport. Another major factor in the accident was poor crew resource management. Crew resource management refers to how pilots communicate and work together in the cockpit. In this case, there was a strong authority gradient, meaning the captain's decisions were rarely challenged by the other crew members. Although the first officer and flight engineer expressed concern about the aircraft's altitude, they did not strongly challenge the captain or call for a missed approach. Effective crew resource management requires open communication and active monitoring by all crew members regardless of rank. The accident was investigated by the National Transportation Safety Board. Investigators determined that the aircraft was fully functional at the time of the crash. The investigation concluded that the primary cause of the accident was the captain's failure to properly manage the non-precision approach and the flight crew's failure to effectively monitor the aircraft's descent. The accident was therefore classified as a controlled flight into terrain event. Several safety improvements resulted from this accident. Airlines increased their emphasis on crew resource management training so that all crew members feel comfortable speaking up when something appears unsafe. Training programs also place greater focus on preventing controlled flight into terrain accident. Pilots today receive extensive training on maintaining minimum descent altitude and properly executing missed approaches when required. In conclusion, Korean Air Flight 801 was a preventable accident. Weather conditions made the approach more difficult, but they were not the primary cause of the crash. Instead, the accident resulted from a combination of human factors, poor communication, and failure to follow proper instrument approach procedures. The lessons learned from this accident have helped improve aviation safety and training worldwide. Aviation safety continues to improve because investigators continue carefully analyze accidents and apply those lessons to future training and procedures. The information used in this presentation comes primarily from the official accident investigation report published by the National Transportation Safety Board, as well as training materials from the Federal Aviation Administration regarding controlled flight into terrain prevention.